The lawsuits have begun. The threats have begun. Winning wasn't enough for Donald Trump. He wants to drive home the point that he is the demigod king who runs the United States. He wants the Senate to abdicate its role, its constitutional demanded role in advice and consent. He wants to be able to make the decisions, no co-equal branch of government having a say. A violation of the Constitution of the United States. He's now attacking Democrats. He's threatening lawsuits. He sued ABC. They bent the knee and settled the case when what George Stephanopoulos said was not wrong. It was not slander. It was not defamatory. And they settled for millions, like $15 million. Now, Donald Trump yesterday in his rambling press conference. I mean, this is the most depressing element of this, is that we're going to be subjected to this dipshittery for the next 4 years of him rambling like just an absolute moron every time there's a camera in front of him, just happy that people are forced to sit there and listen to him talk. Remember that episode of The Office when the Steve Carell character, might be a deep cut for people, but he has a story that the office wants to hear. He ran up to New York and he did something and he came back and they all want to hear what he has to say. And he knows that they want to listen to what he has to say, that there's one story they want to hear from him. And so he's milking it. That's Donald Trump every time there's a press conference. He's the Michael Scott character, knowing. Yesterday, he was talking about suing Ann Seltzer. Remember the Iowa poll that everybody freaked out about? Like, oh my God, she's a known quantity in polling. She's a respected person who does her job well. Well, apparently she failed at her job. And because of that, the one time she failed in her polling job, Donald Trump wants to sue her. If being bad at your job once was actionable, we'd all have a case against Donald Trump. But it's not. Here's that moment from yesterday. It gets worse, though, because he puts people like me in independent media. I think they use the phrase internet, what's the influencers? They use that term, but it's a euphemism for what I do. And he also threatened me, not directly, but my group. First, the Ann Seltzer comment.
I see others. I have a few others that I'm doing. I'm going to, as an example, I'm doing this not because I want to. I'm doing this because I feel I have an obligation to. I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points. And it became the biggest story all over the world because I was going to win Iowa by 20 points. The farmers loved me and I loved the farmers. And it was interesting the way she did it. She brought it down 2 weeks before. She said I was going to only win by 4. That was a big story. But that was good because she brought it down from like 22 points to 4 or whatever the number was. Way up. An easy win. Never even thought to go there. I respect them. I love them. And they understand there's no reason to go there.
Ramble. One, if indeed this is actionable, and I believe it is not, I mean, any lawsuit can be brought, but this will be a harassment lawsuit to try to silence and squelch and diminish the reach of the press, to make them afraid to cover, to make them afraid to do polling that might look negative on Donald Trump. But what injury did he undergo? He won the election. Where's the damages that he needs to show? What will be the cause for the lawsuit? We know what the reasoning behind it is. Again, it's nuisance, it's harassment. The same thing, the word they've been using for over a year now, lawfare. That's what this is. It's a nuisance, harassment lawsuit, which are expensive. But when you have campaign dollars that will fund these lawsuits, and the unwashed horde of low information morons within MAGA world who are willing to give of their literal blood and treasure for Donald Trump, that's a never-ending spigot of cash to fund lawyers to harass people like me. We're going to have to come up with some kind of a legal defense fund because, a lot of people in this space, people think, you're a YouTuber, you're a millionaire, you drive a fancy car. I drive a Toyota. We are a one-car household. We're not millionaires. And Donald Trump knows that a lot of people in this space are not. And he's going to harass us anyway with lawsuits. Here he is saying as much that, oh no, we're going to. I don't want to. I have to.
I want to expand on the defamation lawsuits. Could you see moving that to other people with individual platforms, social media influencers, people that...
Or newspapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think you have to do it because they're very dishonest. We need a great media. We need a fair media. We need, it's very important. And we need borders. We need walls, but we need borders and we need fair elections.
Great media, fair media to Donald Trump means media that treats him well. He doesn't mean like Fox News, and they are the biggest ass kisses in the game or among the top 5. Even their coverage he doesn't like because it's not 100% glowing 100% of the time. So somebody like me who criticizes, and where's the lie? What lie do I tell? What untruth? What twisted version of reality am I trying to sell here? Telling the truth, reading factual reporting, witnessing with my eyes the insurrection at the Capitol. The thing we all witnessed. I'm dealing with reality on reality's terms. He's wanting to alter it to fit his narrative. And he'll do it with the force of money and lawyers and lawsuits. Attacking people, as the reporter asks, people with individual platforms, social media influencers. That's a weird, gross term for me, but that is what some of these people consider what we do in independent media. And Donald Trump is threatening to harass and punish using lawsuits. The same man who is so detached from reality that he also, we'll just finish with this, who also said this about how everything was great. There were no problems, I believe is the quote, when he left office at the end of his first term.
Like out of nowhere came the China virus. Out of nowhere came other things we don't want to have. When I left, we had no wars. We had no problems. The Middle East was good. We did the Abraham Accords. We did things that nobody thought were even possible. But think of it, 4 years ago, we had no wars. You didn't have Russia going into Ukraine. They wouldn't have done it. They weren't even thinking about it. When they saw what happened in Afghanistan, I think they gave them an idea. But they wouldn't have done it. They would have never gone. President Putin would have never gone in. And now you look at all those people are dead. All those cities are destroyed. It's nice to say they want their land back, but the cities are largely destroyed. They've left Kiev because maybe they want to use it or occupy it, but they haven't done it. They've done a lot of damage, but relatively compared to the other cities, very little.
Again, rambling on and on and on. The point he's trying to make is that when he left office, there were no problems. Thousands of Americans were dying every day. Every week, certainly. I don't have the figures in front of me for COVID deaths, but it was a nightmare when Donald Trump left office. It was a nightmare on January 6, 2021, 14 days before the inauguration of Joe Biden, when Donald Trump attempted to overthrow the United States government. When he staged his failed coup attempt, the insurrection at the Capitol, attempting to stay in office despite having lost the last election by 7+ million votes. No problems, though. Supply chain collapsed, inflation on the rise, no problems. Rewriting history. Detached from reality. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Please help support this work. You can go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. You can click the join button below to become a channel member right here on YouTube. And you can go and visit dollemore.info, which will redirect you to the new website that also has merch on it. You can make a merch purchase, which absolutely helps support the work. Anyway, follow me on social media if that's your thing. I'm at Dollemore. I'd love to see you. And I will see you next time. It'll be a long 4 years. Be genuine. Take care of one another.